Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Chelsea for those of you who are new here, and if you haven't been following along, but you've clicked on this video because you saw 4 weeks out, it's because I am in a bodybuilding prep and I'm 4 weeks out from my show, Wasatch Warrior in Utah, and I'm really excited. I wanted to do a short video this week and give you an update, but also talk about some things that I wish I would have known before my first prep back in 2022. I saw this video idea from another person on YouTube, and I have been in a very reflective state lately, so I felt like I would want to do one of them for myself. So that's why you're here. I will be looking down at my notebook because I wrote down some ideas that I had for this video. But before I get into what I wish I knew before I did my first prep, I wanted to give you some updates from this week. So not much has changed except for my food. My carbohydrates dropped again by 10 grams, and that's it. That's the only change. I check in with my coach again in 2 days' time. So this is Saturday. I check in with her on Mondays. So we'll see if there's any other updates coming through. But I'm still doing the same 40 minutes of cardio 4 times a week. And I know that my food hasn't changed that much, but I'm definitely starting to feel the drops in my calories. My energy has been low this week, and it's just been taking a lot more effort to get through the day than it has previously, and I'm kind of struggling with that a little bit. I think this prep has been such a different experience than my last one, and it's been both beautiful to experience, but also challenging in a different way. I've talked before in a couple of my other videos about the mindset that I've had through this prep, and things have just been really challenging how I think about things. And the experiences that I'm having now in life are very different from when I did this prep the first time. So that's kind of the inspiration for this video, because I've been stuck between comparing my experience from the last prep to this one. And I've had conversations with my coach, and she's been telling me, like, you really can't compare these two because your body has been in a different spot both times, and the circumstances are different this time versus last time. And so I'm trying to compare apples to oranges, and it's not working. And I realize that it's just hard to remind myself of that sometimes when, you know, I know that my calories are lower than they were the first time. And I know that I'm doing twice the amount of cardio that I'm doing from last time, because I really only have one other show to compare this prep to. So I'm going to jump into the topic because there wasn't very much different from this week's protocol. And I've just been doing the same thing I have always been doing, which is my training, eating, going to school, and just doing my best. So the first thing that I came up with for this video was to not buy clothes that fit my prep body. And this is like 6 weeks out to show day body. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I was looking in my closet this week, and I have like 6 pairs of shorts and like 5 or 6 different sports bras that I purchased during that time of my prep last time. And they're never gonna fit me again. Like, I was the smallest that I will ever be in 2022 because it was my starting point, and I'm only gonna grow from there. But I had it in my head that I was going to buy these pairs of Under Armour shorts, and they were going to be a size smaller than I am now, even in the later parts of this prep. And it just kind of hit me. I'm like, this was a waste of money. So what I wish I would have known back when I prepped the first time is that I shouldn't be purchasing clothes that are more than $20 a piece. And if I am going to purchase clothes that fit that body shape and that size, just going into it knowing that I was never going to fit into those again probably would have helped me make a different decision. So yeah. And I would also say too, coming out of that prep and starting my first official off season, it was kind of bumming me out a little bit in the peak of my off season that I had these clothes in my closet that were fitting me at my smallest, knowing that I was in the opposite state in my off season. And I didn't struggle with this like the whole time I was building, but it's just something that I didn't need to like worry about, or that I shouldn't have worried about. And those clothes being in my closet like just were a reminder of where I was at my smallest. So save your money. Don't buy clothes when you're in the later parts of prep. And that way you have clothes that will fit you in the reverse diet phase where you're going to be spending a lot of time and, I don't know, maybe sizing up and having clothes that don't fit you as well, because stage lean is like a blip in a moment in time. It's not a long-term thing. And even being lean 4 weeks out from your show, it's so temporary. So save your money. Don't buy clothes when you're lean like this. Yeah, it's not sustainable and it doesn't make sense. So the next thing on my list is to keep the meal ingredients separate for show day. So in my first prep for the show day, I put all of my meals together the night before, like I was gonna eat them as a full meal on show day. Because the instructions that I gotten from my coach were just follow the same macros. I'm probably not gonna change very much, so it's not gonna be a big deal. And I was like, okay, great. So I put all of the ingredients for my breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the same Tupperware. And that included the leafy greens, the sauce, the grains that I had, and my protein all combined together. But what I didn't know is on show day, a lot of times the only food source that my coach wanted me to eat were the carbohydrates from those meals. And that was like the white rice and, you know, the oats without anything in them, and like quick digesting carbohydrates like sugar from a gummy or something. And so I show up to show day with all of my meals pre-made, and I had gotten a message like halfway through the day from my coach saying, okay, what's your second meal? And I told her all of the components, and she was like, okay, eat the rice and maybe a little bit of the protein. And I was like, oh shit. Like I literally put like my dressing and everything all over it. And so I remember asking one of the other Fit Body Fusion coaches at my show that day, like what I should do. And she was just like, okay, do your best to eat around it. So what I wish I would have known is to keep each of the meal components separated and just bring my scale with me. That way I can take from a container of just rice and portion out some rice instead of having to like pick around my ranch dressing and my greens and whatever else I threw in the Tupperware. Just some food for thought if you're in your first prep and you're like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen on show day. Keep your meals separate. And the other thing that I have on here is a reminder to myself, and maybe to you if you're in your first prep, that you will never have a first show day again. So document as much as possible. And I have been reflecting on this, and, you know, this was the inspiration for this YouTube series that I'm doing now, because there were a lot of things about my first prep that I wish I would have talked more about on a video format like this, just so I could look back and remember like what my mindset was back then, and to see where my body was at back then, and all of the things that come along with the first feeling of getting my bikini. I didn't document any of that, and it was so exciting to see my sparkly bikini for the first time, and ordering my first pair of heels. Like little tiny things like that I won't ever experience again, because I already have done all of those things. It just would have been nice to see it happening in real time, because memories fade over time and they get overshadowed by other experiences that are coming along. So I don't know, if you're in your first prep, and even if you're so close to your show, document those days leading up to the show day, because it's really weird to experience putting your tan on for the first time and trying on your bikini for the first time when you're about to be ready to go on stage, and getting your hair done, or troubleshooting if you're doing your own hair, and just little things like that. I don't know. I think for me, I wish I would have put more of that on a video instead of just talking about it in one recap video. I don't know if you've seen my show day vlog from 2022, but I didn't really document anything that happened that day on a camera. So that video is just me sitting down a couple of days after my show, recapping the day. And I'm glad I filmed that piece at least, because it was fresh. But this time I really was inspired to do a better job of documenting week by week what's changing and where my mind's at and how I'm preparing this time versus last time, because so many things are so different. And those were the only like formal things that I had written down. I'm sure I'll think about this video later when I'm done filming and kick myself for not thinking of something else, because I have thought of a lot of things that I wish I would have known before I went into my first prep. And I don't know, saying this out loud now, I think another thing that I would have wished I known was asking more questions to my coach about the logistics of the day and the logistics of being on stage. I know every show is different, but there's a flow. And I went into my show day feeling really confident because I had practiced my posing and we had gone through a couple of rounds of comparison and stuff like that. But just some of the details about like how to angle yourself if you're on the outside of a line of girls, depending on how big your show is, that might happen to you. And just, you know, asking what I can expect on stage, just in general. I think that it would have been more helpful to ask more specifically about that to my coach. I think, because I'm a very curious person and I feel like I'm pretty good about asking questions, and I guess it's kind of hard to even say this now because you don't know what you don't know. And so how could you ask? But I think I just wish I would have known a little bit more of the logistics on show day instead of learning it as I'm going through it. And I mean, maybe that's why the show day has a true novice category, so you can get all of the kinks out before you step on for novice and open, if that's what you choose. But I don't know. The topic of this video is really cool. And I think that the things that I did come up with might be helpful. But I remember feeling very prepared for my first show because I had a great coach behind me. I still do. And I had a team of people that I could ask questions to. And I actually chose a show that was sponsored by my team. So I had a booth with other girls that were on Fit Body Fusion, and they had one of the team coaches there with us, like helping us guide through the process. Oh, I guess one other thing that I will throw in here at the end before I wrap up this video. If you are purchasing a package for a video or photos or something, the best advice that I got the day before during athlete check-ins was to purchase the video package only, because you can actually screenshot your best angle from your individual routine through that video instead of having to rely on a photographer to take the still shots that you want of yourself. I think that it is 1000% worth the money to purchase the video only. It's more expensive than the photo package, but I would say do it. That was the best advice that I got during athlete check-ins. And I don't know, just go into your show wanting to have a good time. Because one of the most exciting things for me on my show day was going backstage and seeing everyone in their sparkly bikinis and the full stage glam. And I don't know, there was just some like electric energy back there, especially before prejudging, because a lot of us were doing this for the first time, but it was so exciting to just be there and to show the hard work that we've all put in. And I'm really big on building community and the camaraderie of being with so many other people who are working, you know, as hard as you are to be in that spot. And I thought it was a really cool experience to be able to meet other teammates and kind of get a corner of the backstage area together and like lay out our blankets and hang out and talk about the day and really immerse ourselves and feel the experience together. So I hope that this was helpful. I have been in a really reflective mindset the last week or so, and I don't know if it's because of my low energy and the fact that I am having to put forth so much more effort to get through my training sessions, but I have just been feeling so incredibly grateful that I am able to do this with the support that I have. I know that this series is called Becoming Light because I feel like I am coming out of darkness in some way. I don't really know how to articulate that right now. I don't think that this, you know, the title of this series will fully come into its own meaning until after I step on stage. But I think there have been a lot of life changes that I have gone through in the last several months that have not really been that easy for me to work through. And being in this reflective state of mind has really brought to light a lot of the priorities that I have needed to shift to make this work. And I could not have done that without the people in my corner telling me that I can get through the hard day, or that what I'm doing is, you know, it is really hard and that I'm choosing it, but I've done harder things before. Just that simple reminder is really what will get me through a training session or even a day sometimes. And I know that I've chosen this for myself, and I'm a big proponent of reminding other people when they're talking to me about how hard it is that we are choosing this for ourselves. But also, like, it's not supposed to be easy, because if it was, a lot more people would do bodybuilding, and a lot more people would probably win pro cards or win their show. So everything is from the perspective that you see it. And sometimes we have to lean on other people to see a perspective that we might be blinded to because of a certain day that we've had or a certain mindset that we're in, you know, whether it's negative or positive. And this series called Becoming Light would not be possible without the support that I have behind me. And I have been a broken record on my Instagram saying like how thankful I am to have people in my corner who are helping me through this process. But it's true. I wouldn't be where I am right now if I didn't have people to lean on in the hard days, because it is a struggle right now. But it's a good struggle. I learned a lot about myself from my first prep, and I learned a lot about myself during my first improvement season, and the learning doesn't ever stop. And that's part of the reason why I chose to go into a career in academia, because I'm very inspired by the learning process, and I think it's ever changing. And it's the same for bodybuilding, because you're never going to be where you want to be. There's always going to be work to be done. And if you can dig deep and make that work happen, that's all you can ask for yourself. And I love this idea of constantly progressing towards a goal, because there's never an end goal. I mean, I guess if you make it to the Olympia, there's an end goal there. But from what I've heard, the top pros in bikini, even if they make it to the Olympia and place top 5, their work is never done, because there's always feedback to be given, and there's always going to be something that they could make better. And I feel that way about bodybuilding. I feel that way about my school program. I feel that way about my relationship with my husband. It's just true for everything in my life. And maybe it's true for everything in your life too. But with that being said, I am going to wrap up this video and eat dinner. I've been making some more random vegan shit in a bowl. So next week's video, I'll probably take you through like a full day of eating 3 weeks out or something like that, because maybe that'll be fun. I'm still drinking my latte, so we're doing okay. But I'll make that happen. I'll do like a full day of eating 3 weeks out from my bodybuilding show. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video. Shoot me a comment down below, any video ideas that you have for me. But we are rounding the corner in the last few weeks of this prep, and I'm ready to keep pushing. I'll see you again next week. Thanks.